All right, Fairplay 2333. How's it going?
It's going good, man. Happy, man. It's nice weather out in Cali. It's real cold in Chicago right now.
I bet.
Yeah.
Man, it's hot as hell, man. This is like day after Christmas.
Right.
Yeah, we ain't getting no snow on Christmas.
Yeah, that's good, man. I like it. I like the weather here right now.
Yeah, I hear that. It's definitely it's damn near summer weather today. This is the hottest it's been.
Definitely.
But let's get into it. You're out here from Chicago.
Yep.
And we're going to get into your story, get to know you a little bit better.
Of course.
So, what part of Chicago are you from?
Originally from the west side, right? 2333 is basically the buildings that I lived in on the west side, Weston and Jackson. And then after that, I think at like 12, I moved over by like 70th and Morgan. So like kind of a both side to an extent.
So you moved from the west side to the south side?
Yeah, exactly. I think it was like at 12, and I lived a lot over the west side. Like actually, so I lived on 13th Street for a little while. And then I lived in the Saints, which was Weston and Jackson, 2333 building. My mom lived there on 7. And I moved out to like North Avenue in Laramie. And then at like 12, I moved out to 70th and Morgan. So from that point on, I kind of lived between 70th and St. Stephen's, or we call it Saint Town, but basically that's what the 2333 is, and at the end of my name, just kind of like homage to my projects.
What was it like for you growing up?
I would say typical to an extent, you know what I'm saying? So my grandmother basically raised me. I did see my mother sometimes. That relationship was kind of shaky, but still good at the same time to an extent. But growing up was just like, Chicago life. Like my grandmother trying to keep me away from the streets, the drug situation that was around, like the gangs and everything like that. So, as a young child, you impressionable. So even though your family try to keep you away from that stuff, like my grandmother, you still kind of gravitate to some of those things in one way or another. And I think that's the story for like, I say 95% of the guys out of Chicago. A lot of them come up tough, and a lot of them have good direction, but a lot of time it's just that poverty take you to the other way because you're just trying to find a way out, and the streets be the way that you see.
Were you involved in the streets, or were you able to stay out of trouble?
I didn't get in too much trouble as far as jail, but yeah, we all got our street stories.
What are some of your early memories of the projects and the struggles?
So some of my early memories, man, I think one of my most earliest memories when I was young, and I probably was like 6. So I'm at the house, my grandma's house, and it's just a regular day. Everybody in the house going normal, and then we hear a beat at the front door. So somebody beating on the door really hard. So my mom go open the door. My uncle sprint through the house, run upstairs like they shot me. So then he run back downstairs and he kind of collapsed on the floor on his back, and he blood spitting out his mouth and he choking off the blood. So my mom go and grab him and pick him up, and she kind of just holding him like this so he don't choke on his blood, and he spitting the blood out, and the ambulance came. So I think I was probably like 5 or 6 when I first saw that. So like, reality hit me fast from that standpoint of like, oh, he got shot. Wait, what? Like that type of stuff.
Did he make it?
Yeah, he made it. He made it through that. I'll never forget that day because he had on like this, when the Hornets was like real popular back then, and he had on like a long trench coat that was a Charlotte Hornets, and he had on a blue hat to it. And I always tell him when I talk to him, I'm like, bro, I'm gonna get that remade and shoot a video in that. Like it's gonna probably be called 90s Flow or something like that, and I'm gonna have that trench coat on just from that era.
It's pretty wild, man. Yeah, at a young age.
Yeah, that's a wild. I've never told that story before, but my grandma remember it. My whole family remember it basically.
What was it like for you going through that?
For me, like I say, I was like 5 or 6, so certain things like that, you just go through it. And you don't really think about it until you start to get older, and you be like, yo, that was wild. But when you're young and going through these things, you just let them happen. And they just start to slowly shape your mind without you even realizing that it's shaping you to think another way. And that's why when I was talking earlier about the street part, you kind of had your grandmother, because my grandmother tried her best, you know, she raised me right, go to church and all that, but then you still have those elements that's around you when you step outside the house or even inside your house, you know what I'm saying? Like I just remember a lot of different stuff from when I was like much younger, you know what I'm saying? And I speak of some of it in my music as far as like just being young and my uncles and them doing whatever they doing in the streets, and I'm with them, you know what I'm saying? And I'm seeing these things firsthand and just being like, oh, okay. So it just becomes second nature to you.
Did it change you at all? Did it have an effect on you?
I don't think it ever changed me, because it's just like a process of life. You know, when you're going through something in life, you never really think you're going through it. You just do it. And then as you get older, or as you start processing it later on in life, especially for me, having a child, then you start to really process it and be like, oh, this is what I want to protect my daughter from. This is what I don't want my daughter to do. This is what I do want her to know.
So as you're getting older, you moved from the west. So this happened on the west side, right?
Yeah, this happened on the west side.
So you moved to the south side. It's still a bad area?
Yeah, Inglewood, one of the worst areas in Chicago. So like in the heart of Inglewood. So I mean, one night I was going to get my haircut with my barber, and then people just popped out the alley shooting at me. Like, and I was probably like 14 at this time. And you know, my barber was so shook up because he thought I got hit. And he had called my auntie, and he was just like, yo, man, I'm just gotta rest. I thought your nephew got killed. I thought he got hit. Cause they just popped out and started shooting at him. Like, it was just, and it's just like, when you in a neighborhood like that, and that's one thing about Chicago, right? It's a lot of good things in Chicago, but a lot of times you don't have to be doing nothing in order for you to get caught in something. You know what I'm saying? It could just be the affiliation of the people you know. It could be the neighborhood you live in. So you can be living in a neighborhood that's into it with another neighborhood. And when they come around there looking for somebody, if they see you, they just gonna take a chance at you. It ain't particularly gotta be you per se that they looking for. So, and that's another reason that some people may jump into the street, because it'd be like, yo, if I'm not in the streets, I'm gonna be a target anyway. So I might as well have a group of people with me who believe in the same things, who gonna be my brothers.
So a lot of people get involved just simply because they feel like they're going to be a target no matter what. And it don't really matter much either way that they go. Even if they tried to go straight, they still could end up killed just because they're living in the wrong area.
Yeah, well, it was a story a while ago of a guy who went to Chicago State, and he was carrying a gun. Basketball player, straight A student, but he carried a gun because somebody had robbed him like 2 months earlier. So he carried a gun in his book bag. So he wasn't carrying it for offense to go do nothing to nobody. He was carrying it to protect himself, but he still got penalized as if he was out there as a predator. And that's just sometimes the crazy reality of it. And I always say it's nuances to the things that go on. A lot of times a person might look at the news and be like, yo, what's going on with that guy? Why is he doing that? But you don't understand that this guy may be doing this in order to try to put food on his table, or this guy may be doing this to protect himself. It's not always like these people out here and they savages and they monsters and stuff like that.
So you're living on the south side now. And are you going to school?
Yeah. I ended up going to Inglewood High School. So yeah, that was there. While I was there, I played football and basketball. I got in trouble a little bit there. Nothing too crazy, honestly, because of my football coach was really on top of me. So most of the things that I kind of did was like outside of school type stuff. I got a couple of 10-day suspensions for just doing stupid stuff and stuff like that, but I never, I never got like it kicked out of there, but I didn't graduate from there. You know what I'm saying? So once I didn't graduate, I kind of moved to another school and then set out, and I ended up having to get my GED or whatever, because that was important to my grandma, so I wanted to do that for her.
So during high school, did you go to school with any of the rappers?
No, I didn't. A lot of people was from certain areas around there where the rappers was at, cause it was like Inglewood. It was right in the heart of there. It was on like 63rd and I think Stewart is the street. So yeah, it was in the heart of everything. You know what I'm saying? And that within itself was like just a crazy school. Like some of the craziest stuff ever, man.
So now you get your GED.
Yeah.
You're out of high school.
Yep.
What's going on now with you?
I mean, so in between that time, you know, I'm definitely not gonna get too much in it, but in between all of these times, you know, you in the streets, and then I started playing basketball in college that year. So you kind of fall back from the streets a little bit because you feel like you start feeling like, yo, I got a chance to make it. You're gonna be in basketball, but then, you know, things end up happening and life happens. You know what I'm saying? And there's certain things you have to take care of. So you kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the reality of everybody, bro. Like, I won't say everybody, but that's the reality of a lot of people is they just doing what they have to do to survive. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I be wanting to put across, because I know a lot of times when people speak on Chicago, a lot of the stuff get sensationalized and it get made seem like, yo, just lock them away and throw away the key. But a lot of these things are coming from mental issues. A lot of these things are coming from just extreme poverty. Like, even when you look at my situation, to be 5 or 6 and have my uncle walk into the house, be shot, split up blood, my mama basically having to save his life and not going to therapy, nobody talking to me about it. I'm just processing it myself as I go along, just figuring out what it is. Nobody's like, yo, are you okay? Is that fine? How do you feel about it? Like, and that's why one thing I do whenever something go on in my daughter's life, no matter how small or how big, I just try to talk to her about it. And cause I remember just being confused at those times in my life. Like, yo, what is this? And just having to try to kind of figure it out in my mind. And like, it's not that your parents don't care. It's just that it's so much other real stuff going on at the time, like paying bills and working jobs and providing for you and the rest of the kids in the house, that sometimes they really just don't stop to think, how is this affecting your child? And that's one of the things I always try to do with anything, is just stop and try to figure out, how is it affecting my daughter, and talking to her about it in depth. Like, I talk to my daughter like I'm talking to you right now. I don't baby talk her. Anything that happened, I let her know what's going on. Like, I don't lie to her, like, because I want her to understand the world she live in, but I also want her to be prepared to move forward. So my daughter is like, she's super resilient in life. Like, whatever come her way, she know how to process it. She talk about it, and she just keep moving forward.
That's good.
Yeah.
You're taking the time, and you're actually able to come with a clear way of seeing things that, you know, so your kids don't have to go through the same things that you went through.
Yeah, that's my main goal. Like, that's my only goal. Like, when I had my daughter, that changed a lot of my perspective on life. But especially as she got older and I started to see how much she looked up to me. Like, my daughter would tell me all the time, like, oh, today I was like Googling Fairplay 2333, and I was just seeing your picture. So I did the Gillie mixtape for her birthday. I did 2 songs basically for her, and I put like a collage art of us on there together throughout the years and stuff. And I was gonna wait to tell her about it. And then when I called her, she was like, Daddy, I Googled your name today and I saw my name on some artwork. And I listened to the song and it was really good. And she like a music buff, bro. Like, she listen to all type of music, and she'll be like, oh, that person's trash. She don't have good vocals. Or she'll be like, that person's voice is really, really good. Like, she's one of the best singers I ever heard. And you ask her, like, who is some of her favorite singers, she listened to everything from like country to R&B to rap, kids bop, all that. And she loved music, and that's one of her biggest things. And just me knowing how big of an influence I am on her, I just try to always make sure that she understand just the difference between life and what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and how we going through it, and things gonna get better and things are better, things of that nature. Like, another funny story, she was you know, they have like famous people day, like in school, like you can go as a celebrity. So she was like, Daddy, I really wanted to go as you, but my mom wouldn't let me buy a beard. I was gonna buy a beard and a jersey, and I was gonna go as you. And I was like, Lil Leo, why you didn't just get a hat and wear it backwards and wear a jersey? She was like, I could have did that, but I think the beard would have been a perfect touch. And I'm just like, man, this girl is so funny. She only 9. Well, she was 8 at the time. But yeah, so that's part of my biggest motivation is just putting my daughter in a better position.
So as you're growing up, at some point you start rapping.
Yeah.
How old were you when that happened?
So just to be honest, I've been doing rap for a while, and I think I'm super versatile, and I think a lot of people, a lot of artists kind of run away from stuff like this. But when I was younger, so the first time I ever did a rap, I was like 8, and we had a school play, and my music teacher, Paul Gillie, he put me in at a rap, because when I was younger, I used to get in so much trouble, bro. Like I was a wild boy when I was younger. And I used to stay in trouble. So the music teacher used to just give me like little different music stuff to do. So when I was like 8 years old, I did a rap 12th night in the play Macbeth. So that was my first time ever rapping. And then after that, I was doing writing and stuff like that. But I really didn't get serious about rap until like maybe 4 years ago.
So you've been rapping for a while?
Yeah, about 4 years.
Who are some of your inspirations?
If we looking through Chicago, man, and I always say this, I'll say G Count. I got a chance to work with him. That was a super dope experience. Just got to see some of the professionalism from him. If we look at, I think Fabulous, one of my inspirations, and then 50 Cent. Like, that era of 50 Cent was just like one of the greatest eras of music ever. And there was other people who were sprinkled in there, but like 50 Cent music, just DMX, that's my number one rapper of all time. But DMX and 50 Cent, like, not to sound maybe with the risk of sounding corny or something, man, they music spoke to my soul. Like, it was just like, because I could really relate to what they were speaking through. Like, it was just like Slippin'. When I first heard Slippin', I was just like, damn, he really feels me. He relates to me. That's how my life feels.
DMX, 50 Cent, man, that was good era of music right there.
Yeah. And even what 50 Cent is doing now, man, just turning into a mogul. Like, that's just amazing to me. And
Power.
Yeah, Power.
Man, I fuck with Power. That's like probably one of the only shows I even watch. I don't even watch that much TV, but I fuck with Power.
But he got like 14 movies or something like that. Like just independent movies and regular movies and stuff like that. So just to be able to understand, and a lot of people, sometimes they hit a wall, or sometimes something may happen, and they don't have the wherewithal to be like, yo, let me pivot into something else and let me leverage my heat right now. Because the thing about it is, if you a rapper and you hot right now, right? Anybody will do any favor for you in the world. But if you allow yourself to cool down, people won't want to work for you. So what you have to do is you have to pick the right moment where you can pivot while you still hot, and you can leverage your relationships. And that's what he ended up doing, and that's why he's in the position he in now. And you look at a lot of other rappers from his era, they irrelevant. They like on what do you call it? They on like reality TV shows. They not doing much. They complaining about the young rappers. And the young rappers is like the future of us. At one point, I feel like at one point you was a young rapper. So why criticize the young rappers and what they do?
50 is definitely a genius. Marketing genius. I mean, he knows how to market himself. He knows how to market his products. He knows how to get his ideas into your head.
100%.
Definitely a good person to study.
Yeah.
So you got a mixtape out.
Yeah. So my mixtape, I did Dear Leah. That one was dedicated to my daughter, Simple Two-Hitter. And then before that, I did No Time to Play Fair 2. So that's part of a series. And for that, so I'm a real good like freestyle rapper, like bars and stuff like that. Bars, metaphors, double time. I like to do stuff like that. So what I actually like to do is I like to get on industry beats and I like to just destroy them. Like I like to just try to rip them apart. And so that's what No Time to Play Fair 2 is. It's just me hopping on industry beats and just going crazy, like giving the people bars.
Where do you draw your motivation from?
I draw my motivation from my daughter, just trying to put her in a better position. And then I think I'm just inspired by the people around me. I'm inspired by life. You know, that's what inspires me. My two artists is 290 Row and 290 Leak. They inspire me so much because they young and they like when how I describe them, I describe 290 Row as a young boss. Like he got a business mind already, man. He a good rapper, but he whatever he do as a rapper, he gonna be even more than that as a businessman. And I feel like whatever 290 Leak gonna be as a person, he gonna be able to be a star. Like he just an overall star. No matter what he do, he gonna be a star at it. And he only been rapping for 2 months, and he one of the hardest young boys I ever heard rap ever.
What's been your biggest hurdle you've had to overcome?
I think myself. And I think that's just me being honest. And I think what happens is a lot of people in life, they don't be honest with themselves. And they like to point the finger and they like to blame other people for their setback. And that just sets you back more. So once you can actually look in the mirror and just be like, yo, this person might have did that, but the decision I made led up to this part of it. And then you can just move on forward and continue forward with your life. So I would say me.
If you wasn't a rapper, what would you have chosen to be?
I don't know. I know for me, I like writing, so I would probably do something within writing. Like, I think if I wasn't rapping, I would probably be able to take these same stories from my childhood and from people around me and probably try to figure out how to put it into like a book or a series or something of like street tales or novels or something like that.
So you've always been a writer?
Yeah, always.
Did you love to write even as a kid?
As a kid, I've always loved to write, man. Like even from like 5, I couldn't write really good, but my grandmother had some stuff where I was like writing little simple poems and stuff like that. So I've always been a writer, like all my life. Like that's been my key through everything I do.
Did you take any classes on writing?
No. I think I was just natural at it, man.
Did you study anybody?
I can't say I did. Not in writing. I think it just came natural. I've always been a thinker, you know what I'm saying? I've always tried to evaluate the world that's been around me. So I think that's just gave me a unique perspective, and I just started writing it down. Or maybe self-consciously I could have got it from some of the music I listened to when I was younger, but to me, I've never really seen any influences when I started writing.
Were you listening to hip-hop young? Was your family listening to hip-hop?
Yeah. So when I was young, the first album I ever remember seeing was Snoop Dogg, I think it was called Doggy Style. And then Dr. Dre, The Chronic was one I don't remember what song it was, but that was one of the first songs I ever heard was like a Dr. Dre song.
That you can remember at that age?
Yeah. And I don't remember, but I remember my auntie, she had like a red Geo Prism. This was probably like 98, 99, I think. I'm not sure. But that's the first time I ever heard a Dr. Dre song. And I was like, oh, okay, what's this?
Loved it automatically. Loved hip-hop automatically.
Yeah, it caught my attention there.
You have a song with Gillie the Kid doing your intro.
Yeah. So that's the song we actually just dropped. Me and 290 Row, and basically, man, I'm gonna just be honest, man. Salute to Gillie because he came through, man. You know what I'm saying? I reached out to him. We talked about the business. We took care of the business right away, and then he basically ended up doing that for me. And he wasn't able to make the music video, so he just sent me a video out because this happened in the middle of a pandemic. So what he basically did was just took a video for me, and that was his way of being in the video. So, and it's doing good numbers right now. I think it's probably been out like 2 weeks now, and it's a little over 5,000. But for me, them good numbers, because it's sturdy, it's slowly growing. Like, I don't, one thing I don't like to do, and this kind of like a side note, I don't look at what nobody else do and try to compare myself to it. I'll look at what somebody else do and I'll say, okay, this A-list celebrity did 1 million views in this amount of time. And I say, okay, I want to pass their video. And I say, okay, I'm going to work to continue to see how far I can get to that. So I set a real high goal for myself, and I just let the slow burn come for it. I don't try to worry about where it's at or what it's going to do, because the music going to speak for itself. It's kind of like, for me, it's kind of like a blueprint, right? You draw the blueprint to the house, then you get the materials, then you start to build it, then you build up, and before long you look and you got a house. Well, a lot of people, they like to look at the house but not understand that it's a blueprint that go to it. So everything I'm doing now, although I got some stuff, I think my biggest video is like 30,000 views. But although I don't have millions, I'm happy with that, because what I'm doing right now is I'm just laying the foundation for what's going to come next, because people going to eventually, they catch on to it, and then that's when it take off. So you can't even worry about what the outcome is. You just have to continue through the process. Like, you can't look at building a house and say, man, this beam is so heavy, I don't want to carry it to the door. You have to focus on the actual house that's going to be built. And that's how you get through the task. Man, this house going to be so beautiful when I'm done. Boom. Let me go back and get some more of this house. And then before you know it, the house is done.
So you had plans to shoot a video with Gillie. You was going to come be in a video and everything.
Yeah, but that didn't work out. Pandemic shut down. But I still got to, shout him out, because he took the time out to do something that he didn't, he really didn't have to do. But he wanted to go above and beyond to make sure that a young artist got a chance to do what needed to be done. So, I got to salute him for that, because he got a huge platform. He one of the biggest figures right now as far as podcasters, over 1 million followers on Instagram. So for him to do that, and not only for him to do that, but for him to support the record. Like, for him to post the record on his page and tag me in it and let people know the record was done. He didn't have to do that part of it, what we agreed upon, he did it, but he also took the time to go above to be like, yo, let me help the young guy out.
His podcast is definitely killing it.
Yeah.
I think he's got the #1 podcast, I believe, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I mean, I think with hip hop, I think Joe Rogan might have the #1.
Yeah, Joe might have #1. Joe, yeah.
But I think maybe like in the hip hop urban area, I think you have them. You have Gangster Chronicles.
Oh yeah, with Mob James.
With Mob James.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Man, I think they're probably #1 when it comes to that. If not, they're definitely up there, man.
Right.
They're pretty entertaining, man. Him and Wallow.
Oh man, I love stories from the cells. Them be so crazy, but the real thing I like about him is he give perspective to people. So if I had to pick, like I say, when I do mixtape, I go crazy, right? But when we listen to a lot of music, man, a lot of people give you the what, but they don't give you the why. So I think that's what's the unique perspective about my music, is even though I give you the street shit, like I give you the elements of that street, right? But I give you the why, you know what I'm saying? I tell you why some of these things happen. I tell you where it come from. I tell it where it started. And then that's kind of what I do with storytelling, like the why. A lot of people don't give you the why, you just hit a what. And I don't think it's a full vision of what's really going on.
You're out here grinding.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot. So you're traveling around. You're linking up with a lot of different people.
Yeah.
You got a mixtape coming out. No Time to Play Fair.
Well, that's kind of the one we just talked about. So No Time to Play Fair 1 and 2, that's just like my series. So with that's just me getting on industry beats and freestyling and doing my thing,
You have a clothing brand.
Yeah, Mogul Life. So that's actually what this jersey is, right? It's a Mogul Life jersey. And I just paid homage to Kobe on it, but it's Mogul Life 2333, and it's a Mogul Life All-American. And the back just says Fairplay 2333. And we also got like sweaters, t-shirts. We working on shoes and jeans right now. But yeah, so that's me and my partner 7 p.m. So 7 p.m. 3, he out of Chicago as well. He like the blueprint for the fashion, you know what I'm saying? He real fashionable, and he come up with a lot of the designs, and we work our magic together. But it's doing really good, man. We've had people buy stuff out of Nigeria, Australia, South America. We've put stuff on a couple of I think it was Yale's full not rugby, lacrosse team. Their whole team bought shirts to warm up in and stuff like that. And so yeah, we just continuing to try to build that Mogul Life brand right now.
You've worked with Gillie.
Yep.
And you have some other features though, right?
Yeah, the G Count feature. That was, and honestly, I haven't done a lot of features yet because what I really wanted to do was I wanted to try to build my own foundation before I start reaching out to people. You know how it goes sometime, man. People want to, like, people help those who help themselves, right? And a lot of time when you a young artist or you a new artist, what you start to do is you basically just get in a position to where you think like, oh, why this guy don't want to help me? Why this guy don't want to do this? But you have to understand that these people had to grind to get from where they was, right? And there was one point where didn't nobody want to give Count a feature, where didn't nobody want to give Gillie a feature, where didn't nobody want to give Wayne, Kanye. It was times where people didn't want to hear them rap and give them a features. So I think it's just a part of the process that you have to go through. And once you build yourself up enough, people will start to respect you. They'll be able to, you know, look at your work and say, okay, he got enough work out here. He seemed to be moving. It's somebody I think would be beneficial for me as well. So, you know, the Count feature came together seamlessly, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, he one of my favorite rappers, and so that was good to be in the studio with him and be able to see the process of how it go and just to learn a few things from him and be able to reach out to him sometime about different advice I may need music wise, because he done worked with everybody in the industry. Literally, his latest song just came out with Pusha T called "A Pope versus the Pontiff." So it's nice to have somebody from Chicago that you can just bounce ideas off of and just try to reach out to and say, hey, how's it going with this and that, and how should I do with this? You know, stuff like that, like big bro type stuff.
Now that you're doing more things with music, Chicago, your sound is different.
Right.
Than the popular sound in Chicago.
My friends tell me that all the time.
And, you know, the drill movement's real big.
Yeah.
But your stuff is like, it comes kind of from an older era, but it's still got the new sound to it.
Right. Now,
at what point did you see everything start to change in Chicago for the drill movement, and what all happened with all that?
Well, so for me, being from starting from 4 years ago, I don't think it's so much from an older era. I just think that what I was able to do, I was able to come into my wisdom a little earlier, right? So if you listen to some of these artists that start off with, like, let's say Herb as a perfect example, right? If you listen to him when he first started out, it sounded drill. A lot of people said he was off beat when he rapped, but if you listen to him now, it's more perspective, it's more introspective. He's speaking more on life, his kid. He's speaking more on the wise. So I think from my perspective, what I was able to do, especially by growing up around a lot of older people, I was able to get a mature mentality and a perspective of things much earlier. Even from just one of my boys used to rap, Residue Reed, and he locked up right now. He in the feds, but he'll be home soon. He'll actually be home at the top of next year. And I learned a lot about rap from him, just being around him all the time and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I look at it. Like, I think one of my friends, he tell me that it's intelligent street music, it's sophisticated street music. You know what I'm saying? It's not just all ignorant. It's some ignorant, but I blend in some knowledge too.
You got a vlog.
Yeah.
You got a vlog.
Yeah. I got the city I got the city tour vlog. So and I started that because I started noticing that a lot of people from, like, a lot of the homies and people, they'll just be like, yo, man, you was in Orlando. You did a show down in Orlando. How was that? Or, man, you just went on a tour. I saw you was down in Atlanta. Or, how was New York? So from that perspective of me, I was like, yo, you know what? I need to just start doing like vlogs just to document it and have the behind the scenes stuff of it, because people keep asking me about it. So it must be something they're interested in. So one of my biggest vlogs is the one that I actually got a chance to open up for Plies back in Chicago, maybe like 2 years ago. So I always, at this point, I was driving back and forth to Chicago because I was stopped on my way up there. So what I did was I bought a director with me. He like filmed me, and shout out IE Visuals. He from down in Orlando. He one of the biggest directors down in Orlando right now. And he ended up coming with me and staying in Chicago with me for 3 days, and he like followed me around, photo shoots, going to my old neighborhoods, just showing that type of stuff. Kind of like a small docu-series type thing where it's documenting the process of me becoming what I'm supposed to be as an artist. And got to open for Plies that night, and that was real cool. Plies, decent guy, you know.
He has a cool Instagram. I like what he does on Instagram.
Yeah,
His
man,
little
it's super funny
takes on everything.
Yeah.
So as, you're getting older and you're learning more, you're doing more music, you're meeting more people. What are you planning on evolving? Or how do you plan on evolving through all this?
For me, so the most important part about me evolving, what I eventually want to evolve into is somebody who do books, somebody who do movies, somebody who do just web series and stuff like that. I want to take that over, but I think the most important part of me evolving is just having my two nephews around me, and they 290 Leak and 290 Road. Them like my blood nephews. Them that's my sister's two sons, and so I just look at it now as like Row 23 and Leak. He's 17, so I have to evolve with them in order to understand the landscape of what's going on. So I may hit Leak up and be like, "Hey, bro, what you think about this? What's the temperature of what the 17-year-old saying about music right now?" And he'll be like, "All right, bro, no, don't do this. You got to do this like that." But a lot of the older guys, they don't want to evolve with the times. They just want to kind of criticize it or say like, yo, this ain't, nah, man, I don't like, think about how long it probably took a lot of people to get out of baggy clothes. Like, nah, man, we don't wear fitted clothes and stuff like that. But what you actually doing when you don't evolve to the times is you stagnating yourself, because what happens is the younger generation coming whether you want them to or not, right? So at 17, I tell you, my nephew a star. So he's coming whether I want him to or not. So either I can figure out how he functions so I can be able to be on a song with him and not sound like I was born in 1980 or like I was born in the early 90s, or I can try to figure out what he's doing and try to incorporate that into my style. So I feel like you have to evolve. You got to evolve as a person. You got to evolve as a musician, or you'll get to that point in your life where you won't grow no more in that level, because for everybody it's going to come a point where I'm not going to be able to grow anymore as a musician, right? And if I don't have these two younger artists in order to continue my business to grow and continue to have myself to be able to pivot and do something else, I'm just going to die right there. And then I'm going to be talking about like, yo, man, this rap that they doing now is like not, you know what I'm saying?
You don't want to be the grumpy old guy.
Nah, you don't want to be the grumpy old guy.
Complains about the young dudes.
Exactly, man, because at one point people was complaining about what you did. You know what I'm saying? If you look any era, when 50 Cent, like, what's so funny, right, is that each era sets the tone for the next era. And that's why I don't understand how older generations criticize the youth so much, right? Because think about it. Tupac got shot 5 times, right? That made him a huge star. So in order for the next person to be bigger than Tupac, something way more deadly had got to happen to him. You got to get shot 9 times, right? And after that, after the I can't even think of it, but after that wears off with the people from you being 9 times, now how do you stay relevant? So 50 Cent, what did he do? He started putting his beef more on records. Like, he was one of the first people to really start outwardly beefing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was people doing diss tracks against people, but he's one of the first people to start dissing a lot of people. Like, you got a problem with me, I got a problem with you, and I'm gonna say it on this record because it's gonna get me sales, and this is how I really feel, right? So a lot of people criticize the people now for doing drill rap and dissing dead homies and dead ops, but they learned that from an era of beef rap. Like, the 50 Cent era was like a beef rap. Like, everybody in New York was beefing with each other. So they learned that from them. But in order to make it pop, they had to take it to the next level.
So that's where you feel like things are at now? That's why the violence is so much? Or you?
Nah, I don't feel that's why the violence is so much. I just feel like when you come from extreme poverty, like, so if you come from extreme poverty and you don't have no options, right? But you might be beefing with somebody and you can hop on a track and beef with them, and you got the possibility of going from being broke, living in your mama's house, hustling every day, petty hustling, to becoming a millionaire. You're gonna take that. It's just like it's the evolution of what Jay-Z said. I'd rather die enormous than live dormant. Like, that's that version, and that version of that was get rich or die trying. Like, so each era has their version of, I'm going to get it by any means or I'm gonna die in the process.
I hear that.
It's true.
Real shit. So, man, is there anything you want to add?
Not, just follow me on Instagram, Fairplay, FAIRPLAY _2333, and that's where I'm at on Twitter. And you can find my music on all streaming platforms, Fairplay 2333. That's really it, man. And shout out to my baby girl, Aaliyah. Dear Leah, that was for her, so I gotta shout her out because that's one of my biggest motivations, and just that.
Well, I appreciate you, man.
All right, man.
It was a dope interview, man.
Yeah, thanks, man.